Hello and welcome back to another KCC video. I'm Rob and today we'll be jumping into Nuclear Revenge. Before we start, please hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you know when the next video goes live. Our story today comes to us from Dragonpora. Do not mess with my family. I will destroy you. Let's jump right in. Okay, so this goes way back and still leaves me fuming. This is my very first post. Will probably be long-winded, but there is a reason. Background: I will call myself Daisy, qualified as a mechanical engineer in the mid-1980s, working in textiles in a little African country. Ed, the consultant with carte blanche. Ed was there to assess performance, but also investigate why a profitable company takes a nosedive within 18 months. The villains are Bob, Knob, and Bon. Story is long, take a break, get yourself a coffee, tea, shake, cocktail, whatever rocks your boat. I was part of a management team employed on behalf of an NGO, non-government organization, company funded by the Commonwealth and IMF, International Monetary Fund, to help set up viable labor-intensive industry for this country in the mid-1990s. To start with, this was a dream job: free luxury accommodation in a secured village with tennis courts, swimming pool, free utilities like electric, water, and telephone landline, no internet at that time, and no mobiles in this region, free private schooling for my 3 children, a monthly allowance, note not salary, and a great pension. The catch was that my husband was not allowed to work permanently. He could consult for companies but not be employed as part of the work and residential permit process. I was the total breadwinner. I was respected by the management team and my employees. I love the people of this nation, the culture, the warmth, and the willingness to learn even if the majority of the employees were illiterate. I helped set up schools to improve their verbal and written skills, not only in English, but also in the local official language. I woke each day ready to tackle the challenge and see the company flourish and become profitable. The company becomes very profitable, and as part of an agreement with the CDC, Commonwealth Development Corporation, and IMF, International Monetary Fund, it needs to be sold to investors in this country as a profitable venture, with the caveat that all local employees remain in employment for 18 months. The order books were full, the bank balance very healthy on the day the new owners came in. The new owners have their headquarters in Southeast Asia. This is where the troubles began. New CEO, Knob, and CFO, Bon, come in, and first order of the day is to remove the majority of the previous management and bring their team in. I was told in no uncertain terms that as a female, I should be home breeding and not working. My time was up. The company starts losing money within 9 months. This new team started blaming the local employees. This meant that head office sent in an independent observer, I will call him Ed, to feedback proposals to the group CEO in Southeast Asia. This is important for later. I had to have medical leave for 8 weeks, and whilst on medical leave, the CEO makes decision to cut off free private education for my children, and no more free utilities or food allowance without adjusting my allowance. Remember, as a true expat, the company owns you totally. I made a formal complaint, but was told if I did not like it, the company would inform the country government that I had been fired due to not being qualified. This would have meant 48 hours to leave the country with no support from the company. This means my family would lose everything and become destitute. On my return to work, they demote me and place their own man to run my previous department, engineering and maintenance. I go to introduce myself to my new manager. Let's call him Bob. Bob refuses to shake hands and states that he is there to make my life hell and get me fired. I saw red. No one threatens my family's well-being and gets away with it. He was only the spokesman for the senior management. Payback is needed. I decide to start investigation on what is going on. In the 12 months that this new management team has taken over, the company is now in serious debt. New equipment that had been installed by the NGO previously has to be sold to help pay salaries. The pension fund was found to be underfunded, explained as the NGO having taken money out. This management team has somehow brought over extended families that were all being educated in top universities either in South Africa or even the UK, as well as top private schools in the region for the younger children. There was also extended house staff and drivers, all of this coming out as losses in the company's books. To top it off, I find out that my new manager's university doctorate degree was fake. This management team treat the local staff as subhuman. I had had enough of this BS. Time to sort these wankers out. Stage 1. Prove current boss is not qualified in what he says he is. Talk to Ed about my suspicion. Show him the transcript from the telephone conversation with the university that he has a PhD from, and we set a trap. We have a set of machines that are seriously underperforming. Ed and me work out a plan where I walk into lead meeting late. I was to be quiet until Ed asked. We wanted to give Bob enough rope. In the meeting, I sit quietly whilst Bob blames the local operators, the local maintenance fitters for all the woes that are happening and reasons why we can't meet the order book demands. Ed sweetly asks if there is a possibility of a mechanical issue, and Bob denies it. Ed then asks me for my opinion. I explain that Bob has been changing suppliers of critical components to cheaper versions, but somehow they still cost the same on the official books. I had evidence that demonstrates that Bob was receiving a significant percentage of the difference on the side. I also stated that I could fix the problem using some of the correct components. If I was wrong, then by all means I could be fired. Ed sets a challenge to me and Bob. Each one of us has a team of fitters and our chosen components. Bob storms to the shop floor and does his usual screaming at everyone. I go down and explain what I was trying to achieve and how it would benefit the operators and get the project going. At end of the week, I have to report back to the management team. Ed had asked a few operators, mechanics, and production supervisors how Bob worked and if there was any attempt to sabotage my project. Needless to say, Bob did try everything. Ed gives Bob a chance to come clean, but Bob still stated I was a liar and knew nothing. Ed stands up, goes to the door, opens it, and outside is Bob's family. Ed had organized drivers and contacts to fly to South Africa, pick up all the children from schools and universities, and for those in the UK, the university was informed no company funds would be forthcoming. Then, he proceeded to give each of Bob's family plane tickets for the following morning. Company security guards and police were sent with Bob to his bank, where these funds were frozen due to fraudulent transactions. He accepted a plea bargain. He will not be welcome in Africa ever. And his home country police were informed when Bob landed in his home country, the head office had organized a police escort. Basically, he was unemployable, and his family greatly shamed. I hope he got his just desserts, but I couldn't care less. Stage 1 complete. Stage 2, the final event. Prove Nob and Bon have been defrauding the company and country. Nob and Bon were still in charge of the company. This is now 18 months from takeover. The stated clause that the workforce could not be touched was up. Nob and Bon called an all-site meeting. They stood up front with tears running down on how the NGO had lied about the company orders and profitability, how they are trying their best but the company is really struggling and people will lose their jobs. I had been working closely with Nob and Bon's secretary, so had been able to access the info needed. Survival kicked in. As I was part of the original management team, I had the original accounts that were audited as part of the CDC and IMF funding for the NGO. In between, I accumulated information on the losses being shown and the missing money going offshore into private accounts and not the head office accounts. You see, these two did not respect women or the locals and assumed that what was being done would not be picked up. If they had bothered to understand who they employed in the office, they would have found that the purchase officer and the accounting supervisor were qualified accountants with close links to government, the banks, and they were, you're right, women. I had explained that there would be a time when we needed evidence to safeguard the money and people's livelihood. So the files had been building from when they were in 6 months to now a year later. Knob announces that 66% of staff will have to be let go. Again, I talk to Ed and give him the evidence we had been accumulating. Knob calls me to the office to tell me that I am redundant with immediate effect, and that to be able to stay in the country to sort out my family, I would now owe the company rent that was twice my given allowance. I lost it. I literally turned around and explained that in less than 24 hours he would have no future. His family would have no future. No matter where they run, they would be found. I knew this to be true, as Ed already had the wheels in motion. This time, the group chairman walks in on my heated conversation, together with the IMF representative and Bon in tow. Knob was fired on the spot, loaded onto a plane with an international warrant for fraud. The IMF pursued this fully. They were screwed. In this Southeast Asian country, a stain on your trustworthiness means you are untouchable. As for me, well, the company limped along, but I no longer trusted anyone from that group. Myself and my husband found employment in another regional country. This time, both of us had work permits and also had airtight contracts. No one will ever screw us over or make us feel like slaves. The message was, do not threaten my children or my family. I will destroy you by waiting until you hang. Not proud, just realistic. Well done to OP for standing up to the knobs. They definitely were the low-hanging fruit of the company. It sounds like the egos of the knobs were maybe too big for their trousers. I don't think even once they tried to cover their own butts. Thank you to OP for posting their story in the NuclearRevenge subreddit. They are linked in the description down below. Please go check them out. Check out one of these other videos, and if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories.